the real reason that you can't build muscle. And it's not what you think. You go into the gym, you're lifting the weights, you're eating protein, you're doing everything that these fitness influencers say to do, but you're just not seeing results. Or you might be seeing some results, but then you plateau. But you can't figure out why. And everyone tells you the same shit. Train harder, eat more protein, be more consistent. But that's not the problem. The problem is deeper than that. Let me explain. You see, I've rebuilt my body 3 times. First time was around age 19, 20. I was overweight, was lost, and then, discovered the gym, got jacked, became the aesthetic guy, but then I lost it. And age 22, 23, I was out of shape again, got back into training, built it back, got lean, got strong, then I lost it again. Age 30, 31, came out of a 6-year relationship, and I was about 110 kilos, which is like 240 pounds for the Americans. And yeah, I was chubby. I was fat, depressed, no drive. And this time I rebuilt differently. I was able to get myself from 110 kilos down to 80 kilos, doing marathons, ultra marathons, high rocks, boxing. Basically became the hybrid athlete, all that type of stuff. And here's what I learned across all 3 rebuilds. You see, the reason men can't build muscle has nothing to do with their training program. It has everything to do with their identity. You see, most guys approach fitness like a school project. I'm going to get jacked. I'm going to build muscle. I'm going to lose the gut. And then they treat it like something they do, something separate from who they are. But that's the problem. Because when you treat fitness as a project, it's temporary. You do it for 12 weeks, 90 days, 6 months. You get results, but then you stop because the project is finished. It's done. And then, 6 months later, you're back to where you started. Soft, out of shape, just wondering what the fuck happened. I did this twice, 3 times, actually, 3 separate rebuilds where I got in great shape, felt good, looked good, and then I just lost it all. Why? Because I treated it like a project, not an identity. You see, when I came out of that relationship at 110 kilos, I didn't just want to look good. I wanted to become a different person. I didn't want to be, Royce who's trying to get fit. I wanted to be Royce, the hybrid athlete. Royce, the runner. Royce, the guy who does the hard shit. That's an identity shift, not a project. And here's the difference. When fitness is your identity, well, you don't stop. You don't finish. You don't take a break. Because you're not doing it to achieve a goal. You're doing it because it's who you are. You see, a runner doesn't stop running when they finish a marathon. They run because they're a runner. A boxer doesn't stop training when they win a fight. They train because they're a boxer. And an athlete doesn't stop being an athlete when they hit their goal weight. They keep going because that's who they are. So here's the real reason that you can't build muscle. You haven't made it part of your identity yet. You're still treating it like it's a thing that you do instead of a thing that you are. And I get it. I get it, man. Because society doesn't help with this, right? Society tells you get fit for summer, get shredded for your holiday, get in shape for the wedding. It's all goal based, all project based. It's all temporary. But what happens after summer, after the holiday, after the wedding? You end up going back to your old habits because the project is complete. It's done. And you see, then you're confused as to why you can't maintain the results. Oh, I did everything right. Why did I lose it? Because you never became the person who lives that way. You just acted like that person for a few months, a couple of weeks. So here's how you know if your fitness is your identity or just a project. You need to ask yourself, would I still train if no one ever saw my body? If I never took a photo? If no one ever complimented me? If there was no external validation at all? You see, if the answer is no, then it's a project. If the answer is yes, well, that's your identity. See, for me now, I'd still train. If even if it was the last thing, or if I was still the last person on earth, I'd still run, I'd still lift, I'd still box. Why? Because I'm an athlete. That's who I am. Not what I do, it's who I am. And, this applies to everything, not just fitness. Because you can't build wealth if you don't see yourself as wealthy. You can't build confidence if you don't see yourself as confident. You can't build purpose if you don't see yourself as a man of purpose. It's all identity. Most men are trying to build things without becoming the person who naturally has those things. They want to build the body without becoming an athlete. They want to, get the money without becoming a businessman. They want the girl without becoming the attractive man. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. You have to become the person first, and then the results will follow. So if you're struggling, to build muscle, here's what I want you to do. Stop asking, what program should I run? Stop asking, what should I eat? How many sets? How much protein? Those questions are fine, but they're just surface level, right? Instead, ask this. Who do I need to become? Do you need to become the guy who trains, 4-5 times a week no matter what? Or do you need to become the guy who meal preps on Sundays? Do you need to become the guy who prioritizes sleep and recovery? Do you need to become the guy who doesn't drink every weekend? Do you need to become the guy who sees training as a non-negotiable? Because that guy builds muscle easily. Not because he has a better program, but because he's just that guy. And look, I'm not saying this to be harsh or anything like that. I'm just saying this because I wasted years treating fitness like a project. I got jacked at 20, lost it, got jacked at 23, lost it. Why? Why did I lose all that? Because I never became the person. I just did the temporary actions. But at 22, 32, 31, 32, I became that hybrid athlete. I became the runner. I became the guy who does, marathons, ultras, high rocks, boxing. That was the identity that I shifted myself into. And now, I don't have to try to stay in shape. It's just who I am. Even now, broke as fuck, building Rebuild 4, 0 income. I'm still training. Why? Because that's my identity. That's who I am. I'd rather skip meals than skip training because I'm an athlete. And that's, for me, it's a non-negotiable now. So here's your homework. Don't just set a fitness goal. Set an identity goal. Don't say, I want to lose 10 kilos. Instead say, I want to become an athlete. Don't say, I want to build muscle, but say, I want to become the guy who trains consistently. Don't say I want to look good. Instead say, I want to become someone who respects their body. Because when your identity shifts, the actions become automatic. The results become inevitable. You don't have to go and force yourself to go to the gym. You just go because that's just the guy that you are now. You don't have to force yourself to eat right. You just do it automatically because you're that guy now. The discipline becomes effortless. The consistency becomes natural. Not because you have more willpower, but because you became that person. So yeah, the real reason men can't build muscle, they're trying to build a body without building an identity. They're doing the actions without becoming the person. And, that shit doesn't last. But when you shift your identity first, everything else follows. So if you're trying to build your body right now, rebuild one, drop a flex emoji in the comments. And if you want to figure out which rebuild you're in overall, again, I've got that free pattern test. Links in the description. It takes 2-3 minutes. Because, whether you're building your body, your social skills, your purpose, or your wealth, all of that starts with your identity. Become the person, then the results follow. Took me a while to learn that. So hopefully you can shave some years off you guys. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.